Hello guys, welcome to Ansarkari. So in this video, we'll start dealing with the questions of ratio and proportion. So for now, we'll be sticking to the questions of ratio. As in the previous video, we discussed that what exactly is the meaning of ratio and also how do we convert a given set of numbers or perhaps a ratio of numbers into its simplest form, right? So for now, we'll be starting with the ratio questions first. The ratio of two numbers is 3:4 and their sum is. So this question is saying that we have two numbers. Suppose the numbers are x and y and they're saying the ratio of these two numbers, that is x and y, is 3:4. So basically पहली चीज ये समझ में आती है that numbers are different from ratio. Then they are saying their sum, that is the sum of these numbers. We have assumed x and y to be the numbers. The sum of these numbers will be equal to 420. Now they are saying the greater of the two numbers. तो obviously the greater number will be the number जिसका कि यहाँ पे 4 से हम ratio में जैसे signify कर रहे हैं. So the greater of the two numbers is they're asking that which is the greater number. So if we assume y to be equal to 4z and if we assume x to be equal to 3z, then their sum will be equal to 420. Now here what happens is if we want to understand this concept, like whatever this thing is written here, so this basically means that suppose there is this thing here. जैसे हम बार इमेजिन कर सकते हैं, कुछ भी इमेजिन कर सकते हैं, तो दिस कैन बी इवन सपोज अ वॉल्यूम क्वांटिटी. फॉर एग्जांपल हम बात करते हैं लीटर्स की या हम रुपीस की बात करते हैं. हियर वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट नंबर्स, तो दिस कैन बी एनीथिंग. बट व्हाट दिस बेसिकली सिग्निफाइज इज that this particular thing, if we divide this thing into three parts, then what happens is the another thing जिसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं, रेशियो बेसिकली हमेशा दो चीजों में होता है. तो द अनदर थिंग विल बी, ये जो थ्री पार्ट्स हैं ये तो होंगे ही होंगे जस्ट इक्वल टू दिस, लाइक बिल्कुल सेम इक्वल, बिकॉज यहाँ पे यूनिट की बात हो रही है. प्लस वन मोर, यानी कि इन्हीं का ही वन मोर, ऑल दीज आर इक्वल इन साइजेस. तो हम यूनिट की बात कर रहे हैं, दिस हियर बिकम्स वन unit. So this here will be equal to 3z and this will be equal to 4z here, right? And this particular one thing will be equal to z, जो कि हमारा highest common factor हो जाएगा. That also we'll discuss here. So if we add these, अब हमें इन्हें add करके ना निकालनी पड़ेगी value of z. We need to add these and then we need to find out the value of z. Because see, for example, if there is an equation given, अगर हम अभी फिलहाल इस equation को consider करें, we have two variables here, that is x and y, and we cannot find out the value of two variables if we have just one equation. या तो कोई और information है या फिर at least two equations are needed, right? To find out the value of two variables that are present in one single equation. But in case we have just one variable, जैसा कि इस case में in one particular equation, then we can find out the value of that particular variable. तो variable basically means जिसकी value जो है वो vary करती है. हम किसी भी equation में डालें उसकी value अलग निकल सकती है. I would not know about that. लेकिन एक equation में obviously it will have just one particular value. So in this particular equation what happens is if we just write this in place, so 4 plus 3 will be 7, which means 7z will be equal to 420. Here if we find out the value of z, it will be equal to 420 divided by 7, which will be equal to 60, which means that z here is equal to 60. यानी कि z, यानी कि जो ये एक यूनिट की वैल्यू है, this is equal to 60. अब यहाँ पे 60 क्या है? Here 60 is number. हम नंबर 60 को जो वैल्यू है हम वो डिनोट कर रहे हैं. 60 could have been rupees also, 60 could have been liters, kilograms, anything. This is the basic concept of unit and we also discussed about this in the previous video. Now here we use the plus sign, here we did the addition thing here because यहाँ पे sum की बात हो रही है. If हमें कोई और clue दिया होता, for example उनका difference दिया होता या anything else, product या कुछ भी, then we would have used a different kind of method or way, right? Now they're saying the greater of the two. Okay, so we found out the value of z that was coming out to be equal to 60 and we also discussed कि वो क्या क्या हो सकती है. So now we'll just place the values here. For example 3 multiplied by 60 है ना, 3 ये हमारे पास units है and 60 हमें 1 unit की value मिल रही है. एक ओरिजिनल चीज होनी ना बहुत जरूरी है, उसी से हम फिर रेशियो की अकॉर्डिंग वैल्यू पता लगा पाएंगे of the separate things. So this will be equal to 180, then this will be 4 multiplied, okay I can just write 4 multiplied by 6, this will be equal to 240, which means 180 है पहला number and 240 is the second number. Now they're saying the greater of the two. तो वैसे तो evident है ही, but even if that is not the case, अगर मान लो directly पता लगा पा रहे हैं हम, तो हमें सिर्फ 4 की पता लगानी है because this is the greater number, right? of the two. So answer will be equal to 240. So this is the basic concept here, and this particular thing to understand this thing is also very important. And कैसे हमने question में place करा, and see z here is the highest common factor. For example, अगर हम कोई भी दो नंबर जैसे इनको कैंसिल करेंगे तो रेशियो एंड में आएगा 3:4, राइट. अगर हम इनको कैंसिल करेंगे फॉर एग्जाम्पल 60 से, राइट, बिकॉज 60 इज अ नंबर हियर. Then suppose we take two numbers 12 and 16. Again the ratio will be equal to 3:4. And if we take numbers 24 and 32, तो ये 8 से cancel होंगे जैसे ये 4 से cancel हो रहे थे, right? तो z की value keeps on changing but the ratio remains the same. तो depend करता है, examples तो कितने भी infinite हो सकते हैं. This is the basic fund of this question. Now let's move on to the next question. Now the next question says an amount of 1200 rupees is distributed among A, B and C in this particular ratio. Then they're asking what is the difference between the shares of C and B. So basically ये directly नहीं पूछ रहे, but they're asking the difference between their shares. Right? तो indirect way में they are asking. तो वन वे इज कि हम पूरा अप्रोच के साथ चलें. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, ओके लेट्स जस्ट डू इट वंस क्विकली. सो दिस इज सेइंग एन अमाउंट ऑफ रुपीज 1200 एंड देन दे आर सेइंग ए बी एंड सी में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करें. तो ए बी एंड सी वी कैन राइट हियर एंड रेशियो इज दिस, वी कैन राइट हियर 5z. z या x हम कोई भी वेरिएबल ले सकते हैं, दैट डजंट मैटर. देन वी कैन टेक 7z एंड देन वी कैन टेक 13z. तो देयर सम will be equal to rupees 1200 because इन्होंने बोला है कि the sum is 1200. तो कायदे से if we go by approach, we'll have this sum of these numbers. So it will be 25. Then we have z will be equal to 1200. So z will be equal to 1200 divided by 25. So first it will go by 4 and then by 8, right? 100 and then we have 200. So 48 आ जाएगा इसका, which means the value of z is equal to 48. Now they're asking what is the difference between the shares of B and C. तो पहले हम B का शेयर निकालेंगे. For example, 7 multiplied by 48 minus 13 multiplied by 48. Because this is the unit thing, right? And these are the numbers which make the actual value. So in this manner, if we try to calculate, तो ये तो negative में आ रहा है. We can just write it in this way. So if we find out the difference between B and C, then we'll get the answer. Another way is इस चीज को simplify करने के लिए, ये तो देखो basic step है, this is necessary. Then we'll directly subtract the ratios because ये तो common चीज आ रही है, right? 48. So we'll directly subtract the ratios of B and C. So 13 minus 7 will be equal to 6, right? So we'll write 6 here. तो यानी कि 6z हो जाएगा difference. So we'll directly multiply 6 and 48, which will give us, so it will be 240 plus 48, तो हो जाएगा 288. So this will be the answer. तो यानी कि हम डायरेक्टली रेशियो को मल्टीप्लाई कर सकते हैं बिकॉज इन दी एंड सी व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, ये रेशियोज एक कॉमन चीज से मल्टीप्लाई हो रही है, राइट, द हाईएस्ट कॉमन फैक्टर. सो this is the case here and the answer for this particular question will be equal to rupees 288. That is the difference between B and C. Now this thing again as we discussed previously, basically सारा क्या unit का है, we just need to calculate and then यहाँ पे कुछ भी हो सकता है. Rupees for example, distribution हम कह रहे हैं milk और water distribution या फिर ratio etc. So the questions can vary but the main concept remains the same. Thank you.